Is that the road?
You see the river? No one can remember it ever being this low.
What about all the rain?
Every year it rains less. Less rainforest means less rain. The Indians have asked me to pray for a deluge. Do you pray, Bronx?
There's so much smoke. I didn't know the road was so close.
Yes, well, death is inevitable, Dr. Bronx. But it's considered bad form to discuss it over a man's sickbed. All right?
Yeah, well, closing your eyes won't make it disappear.
Neither will talk. Let's go.
Well said, Sean. Less rainforest means less rain. So let's continue with this simple math. If we intend to reduce or at least control the upward curve in atmospheric CO2, we cannot continue to destroy rainforests or other large mechanisms that reduce CO2 in our atmosphere. In California, our legislature has recently passed groundwater management legislation. This is now law, which will provide the government sufficient power to regulate groundwater pumping and groundwater management to balance the amount of water within all of the aquifers in California. Groundwater pumping must be regulated, but we have a 1.5 million acre-foot per year deficit in the aquifers in this oval, and a 2 million acre-foot aquifer deficit per year in this circle. For the past 40 years, the California legislature has been more than reluctant in terms of increasing exports from the Delta. In fact, they've decreased them. For several decades now, Governor Brown and others have supported what used to be called the Twin Tunnels and now is called the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. This plan is too expensive and won't even get the job done, primarily because without extra storage in the south, we'll have to pump waters during the summer when water levels are low in the Delta anyways. This will kill fish. Many folks oppose Proposition 1 because it's simply a backdoor funding opportunity for the Twin Tunnels or Bay Delta Conservation Plan. The simple math dictates that if we do not find an environmentally sound way to bring more northern waters south to southern farmers, we will reduce farming productivity, irrigation, etc., and that will lead to more cut and burn farming tactics in Central and South America. Farming in the generally poor soils associated with rainforests greatly reduces the efficiency of the ecosystem in terms of sequestering carbon. Here, the triple canopy of a rainforest has evolved to efficiently move water inland. The natural state of a rainforest is far more efficient at moving water inland than burning it down and planting crops. The vegetation index for South America reflects this fact by showing the general health of plants across the continent has been declining due to cut and burn farming tactics that produce some of the food that we eat here in the United States. The precipitation trend in the United States, on the other hand, has been increasing over the last 44, actually in this case 50 years or so, causing a vast regional blooming of plant growth. This sequesters lots of CO2, and much of this rainfall is directly due to irrigation in the Central Valley. The vast majority of recent PhD-level research papers indicate that the increased irrigation is the primary mechanism for increasing rainfall across the United States. By adjusting units to acre feet, we can get a better idea of how much water is being evapotranspirated from the Central Valley under the control or pre-development irrigation, current irrigation shown in the blue, and near future irrigation levels shown in the yellow, which represent a 1.75 million acre-foot per year drop in irrigation. Understand, all other methods combined can only provide maybe 250,000 extra acre feet of water for these farmers, the rest is going to have to come from the Delta. We have a choice: increase exports from the Delta or decrease evapotranspiration from farming. Take a close look at several years' worth of monsoon season and see how tightly they correlate to the increased plant growth. Note that storms form over the purple areas. This is 2011, and wind is always flowing from the Central Valley towards the center of the United States. This water vapor evaporated from the Central Valley does not leave the United States until it falls at least once as rainfall. A respectable percentage of this water will fall more than once, maybe several times before leaving the continent. Now, this is 2013. We have a cyclonic, actually, looking structure to it this year. But the water vapor will always be sucked from the Central Valley further inland into the United States, producing much needed summer and fall rainfall to water plants and add water to our ecosystems. In reading the papers available on our site, it's important to understand that this increased evapotranspiration will actually strengthen the monsoon and suck more water vapor off of the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of California. This gives us an added bonus. If you take into account the 1.75 million acre-feet evapotranspirated from the Central Valley and add to it 250,000 acre-feet of additional moisture sucked in from the Gulf of Mexico, and add on to that maybe another 250,000 acre-feet that is recycled once again through the Colorado River or Rio Grande River, it's clear that the amount of water that we will be losing if we reduce evapotranspiration is more, much more, than just the reduction in evapotranspiration itself. It's also important to understand that the bureaucracy and government in Sacramento no longer is responsive to the needs of the people. They're not solving the problems. They are staying in office, staying in power. This means that the plans that they come up with are generally not very good. Exporting more water from the Delta in an entirely environmentally friendly way is actually quite easy from an engineering point of view and an environmental point of view. Simply put, when engineers are paid by politicians or bureaucracies to come up with an answer, they're generally going to come up with an answer that reflects the wants and needs of such bureaucracies or politicians. That's going to keep the bureaucracy and politicians in power, but it's not going to give us a very good solution to the problem. Not exporting more water from the Delta will be an environmental double-edged sword, giving us a double whammy. We will increase cut and burn tactics in South America to make up for the lack of agriculture in Southern California, and we will also reduce rainfall and plant productivity across the United States. It's time for the citizens to stand up and show the government how to get this done, and this is the reason why we created Citizens Water Plan. The website's available at www.citizenswaterplan.com.